Our episode today is going to be about Trump's review of the Smithsonian.
The museum created this.
It's called Aspects and Assumptions of Whiteness in the United States.
That is the most racist, horrible.
Yeah.
I don't have the words to describe how abhorrent that is.
Hello, and welcome to the Pop Culture Contrarian podcast with Thomas, Sterling, and Andrew.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Our episode today is going to be about Trump's review of the Smithsonian. He's doing this specifically ahead of America's 250th anniversary. So we'll get to that. But first, hit the bell icon on YouTube so you see when we upload a video. Leave us a comment. Let us know what we should talk about. Let us know if you like what we're talking about. Also go to patriotpost.us and subscribe to us there. That's the best way you can support us. Subscribe to our free daily newsletter there. It comes out Monday through Friday at noon. The next best way you can support us is to go to patriotshop.us and buy some of our merchandise. We've got this nice shirt I'm wearing. We've got hats. We've got stickers. We've got books. Whatever you like, go check it out. Buy some stuff. We thank you for both of those things. All right, getting started, guys. The Smithsonian. So what's the background here? Where did this all start?
Many years ago,
Many moons ago.
when the left decided to co-op the institutions and the education mechanisms so as to drive our entire culture in the direction of Marxism.
They do like their Marxism.
It's been many years in the making.
Yes. So I think there was one thing particularly back in like 2020, right?
Yes.
Isn't there something there, Thomas?
I believe so. I think it had to do with something,
I think
an
you have it right in
acronym,
front of you, don't you?
BLM.
Oh, right,
so
BLM.
When the Smithsonian opened its newest museum at the time,
It's called the National Museum of African American History and Culture. NAMAC.
yeah. So,
Or,
Yes.
okay, Grok says, or it's often called the Blacksonian.
that's actually, that's perfect.
That's
Black
pretty
smell.
good.
We are canceled.
Okay. Okay, just get to it.
Yeah.
All right. The museum created this, which is, it says, aspects and assumptions of white culture
White
in the United
culture?
States. And so what this is a breakdown, and this is just straight out of DEI. Basically, it says that there's there's such a thing called the white culture, which is the dominant culture in this country, whatever that is. And then it attributes all these different things to it, most of them positive, actually. But it says this is from white people, whites,
Yeah.
whatever
These
it
are
is.
like things unique to white people.
Right.
It
And
technically-
it says somehow this is oppressive to the minority races in this country.
Yeah.
I want to read this paragraph here.
Yeah.
I have it here. Just so it's called Aspects and Assumptions of Whiteness in the United States. And then this paragraph kind of opens it up and preps you for all the points of whiteness that they're going to tell you about. White dominant culture, or whiteness, refers to the ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the United States. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America, we have all internalized some aspects of white culture, including people of color.
Which evidently is a bad thing?
Yeah. Some of those aspects are objective, rational, linear thinking.
Bad, according to this, I guess.
All of this is to say, allegedly, and we're just going to use their words here,
Yeah.
that white people have all these great attributes, and by way of logic, you can just assume that other people groups don't have good attributes naturally.
They don't have these good attributes, except insofar as they have adopted whiteness.
That is the most racist,
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
I don't have the words to describe how abhorrent that is.
Yeah.
There's a disconnect here, or a connect here, that I would reject. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
That these behavioral attributes, because almost all these are lists of behaviors,
Sure.
are somehow genetic.
Right.
Right.
This is like what the Nazis would say about
Yeah.
Yeah.
these different groups. I mean,
Think
Come
about replacing every
I
single
know.
one of these with an attribute of the Jews or black people, and just replacing all of it and saying this is what's influencing our culture and putting it out as a piece of propaganda.
Yeah.
It would fit right in.
It'd fit right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we hate to break Godwin's law and be the first to compare our opponents to Hitler, but our opponents are like Hitler.
One of my big things, too, with this is this notion of such a thing as, quote, white culture. What is that?
Yeah.
That's a great question. What is white culture?
Right. Italian culture and Swedish culture and British culture that's 3 different cultures. They're not one culture.
Are
German,
they like not white?
Polish,
Right.
Romanian. I mean, come on, folks. There's no such thing as a European culture.
Yeah, they're all different depending on the region in the country.
And different races, actually. And then go to Africa. There's a lot of there's a lot of dark-skinned folks there, but they're different races, different cultures, different languages, different values. This notion that every person from Africa holds the same value system is nonsense. Or Asia, or the islands. It's just...
Well, there's a bunch of Russians who also happen to look like, I don't know, Mongolians. Are they all white?
Yeah. I mean, these are the questions
there are
to
the
get
white
into.
Russians and the black Russians. You know this, right?
Those are both excellent, very tasty drinks.
Yes.
Okay, this is 5 years old news. Why the heck are we talking about this? What does this have to do with anything? Well, Donald Trump, in his characteristic manner, has decided ahead of America's 250th birthday, like I was saying earlier, to review what the Smithsonian is offering. Wants to make sure there's not things like this whiteness pamphlet, which granted has been gone for a few years now, but they put it out there. They did it.
But there are other examples that are currently in place.
Yeah.
Right.
That we should probably include those examples.
And they're probably more insidious, honestly, because they're not quite as obvious at times.
Language that's along the lines of this thinking.
Yeah.
I think you're probably about to bring up an example, Sterling, so I'll let you.
Well, I wanted to start with Trump's quote, just because I get to do my impression.
All right, take it away.
Okay, all right. The museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen, and I have instructed my attorneys, they're the best attorneys, folks, to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities, where tremendous progress has been made. The country cannot be woke, because woke is broke.
Well, that was pretty good. Not the best I've heard, but accurate. Wouldn't you say? Keep up the good work, Sterling. You'll get better.
It is.
So that's what launched all this. And of course, the left was immediately like, how dare you say slavery isn't bad? And that's not what he said.
That's not what he's saying.
No.
The whole idea is we should not have language that is misinterpreting and self-deprecating. And I think it's important to acknowledge that bad things happened in our past.
Yeah.
We have to say, yes, slavery was bad. Yes, we treated other people pretty harshly in certain instances, and this is how it went down. You can't just beat yourself over the back, self-flagellation,
Right.
because that does nothing. That is totally outside the idea of grace, for one thing.
Right.
But even with the idea of Christian values aside, that doesn't build a strong nation. It's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
And just think about it. Slavery ended in 1865. The civil rights movement happened 60 years ago now.
Yeah, which is not that long.
It's longer than any of us have been alive.
Yeah.
Which is my point here, which is no one alive today was involved with slavery.
Yes.
No one alive today has a father or mother who was involved with slavery. It's just not that relevant to today. It is important to remember it and not forget it and know and learn the lessons from it and continue those forward. But the point Trump is making is that they're making everything about slavery, and they're always talking about slavery in every place they can. And like one aspect where you've seen this happening is slavery is so talked about that when young school kids today, there's been reports on this, when young school kids today are asked, tell me about George Washington, one of the first things they always say is he was a slave owner.
When George Washington had the authority as president, why didn't he get rid of slavery?
Wow.
That is a thing to know about George Washington. If you want to know about George Washington, you need to know that he was a slave owner. But it's not the most important thing about him, especially if you're in elementary school. The most important thing to know is, I don't know, he was the general who led us through the American Revolution. He was our first president. He chopped down a cherry tree and said, "Father, I cannot lie. I chopped down that cherry tree," which is not true, but you should still know it.
Nice little folk tale. But, even more so as far as what you should know about slavery, and that is America was the only nation to abolish slavery more quickly than any other nation ever. And slavery was, and is, frankly, still throughout the world, one of the oldest institutions in humanity. It's always been a thing for nearly every nation. And it's just the civilized nations, and I believe Britain led the way, but
It did.
It was not very long, relatively speaking, after the fact, and certainly very early in the history of our nation, that we abolished it. And that should be something that we're proud of. No, not that we allowed it. That was wrong. That was evil. But we abolished it really fast compared to other nations.
87 years.
I was unfamiliar with the history of the Smithsonian, and I always kind of thought of it as, I knew it was museums, and I knew they were headquartered in Washington, D.C., but I didn't realize that actually the Smithsonian is a government entity, which is helpful when you're having this conversation, and Trump is ordering that a review of what the Smithsonian is promulgating, what it's saying is history, how it's presenting that history is being reviewed, because what he wants to get out of it is this woke revisionist history that's chock full of DEI and promoting an ideology that is inherently anti-American. It's not pro-American, it's anti-American. It's not even trying to offer a quote-unquote balanced view of history. No, this is actually opposed to the vision of the Founding Fathers, opposed to what our country was built on, and the ideals that we try to express. And so, just briefly, Smithsonian was founded by the U.S. government in 1846. It was, at that time, titled the United States National Museum until 1967, I believe, when it took on the name Smithsonian. It consists of, today, 21 museums, 21 libraries, and 14 education centers. So it's
And a giant underground labyrinth that connects the museums to each other, which is just a fun fact.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
That's a thing. That's a real thing.
So
That's awesome. Does
And-
Nick Cage know
You're
about
right.
this?
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
it also has the magazines, two magazines I can think of, the Smithsonian Magazine, and I think Air and Space.
Yeah.
So it's culturally very relevant to Americans. It's highly regarded as a series of museums.
Yeah.
And so when Trump's entering this, what he's seeing, and it's a legitimate problem, beyond what we just pointed out here with the Black Smithsonian or Black Smithson. What was the nickname?
The Blacksonian.
Blacksonian. That is what I need to call it from now on, Blacksonian. With its white culture thing.
None of the three of us, unfortunately, have been to the Smithsonian very recently. Andrew and I were outside the buildings in January, but we didn't get to go in.
Why not?
Well,
we
they were all
technically-
closed.
We went in the Spy Museum. I don't know if that's part
No,
of
that's not.
Okay, it's not.
We went in
okay.
the Spy
It's a
Museum?
private.
We were in the basement of the Spy Museum
Oh, okay.
during the
yes.
inauguration
Okay,
because the
yeah.
inauguration went completely haywire.
Yeah, we were at a food court
Yeah.
in the basement, which was not the
Oh,
basement.
yeah,
'cause I
by
think
the
we went
way,
up the
to
floors.
the commenters who said that we'd never been in D.C.
Yeah. Literally, we've been there this year.
We've all three been there, and
Yeah,
one of the
and
people
lived
here
there.
lived here
Yeah.
there for many years.
Yes.
But yeah, we've never been to D.C.
And just on the Smithsonian, two of the coolest museums I think anyone will ever go to are the Smithsonian Air and Space and Natural History Museums. They are ridiculously cool,
They are.
always worth a trip anytime you're up there. So some of the exhibits now are getting ridiculous. So there's this one, I'm looking at a picture, and we'll pop it up on the screen for you. It's a statue of the Statue of Liberty, a small statue. It's obviously not full size. And it says-
replica.
A replica, there we go. It says, "How did we become us?" with U.S. bolded, so it looks like U.S., United States. It says, "Some of us were already here," meaning, the Indians, the Native Americans. "Then some of us came here voluntarily. Some of us were forcibly brought here." And there's chains attached to that one. "And then some of us remained in place as the United States expanded to our land." And so they're talking about the Mexican-American War where we took Texas and all that.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And it's most, and then the final piece says, discover how diverse peoples built a nation. And I'll just repeat what I said when we were prepping for this. Diverse peoples did not build a nation. One people built a nation in America with the forcible assistance of slaves, which is nothing to be proud of. And then other people showed up. That's what happened. It was not diverse peoples building a nation. It was one people.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, after immigration started to become a major thing, which was after we were well established, yes, they helped build and bring their ideas, and they helped construct what we are today. So in that sense, they did.
This is just my soapbox. There's a difference between arriving to a swamp and building a palisade and digging a well and arriving to New York City. They're different things.
But what about Las Vegas?
What about Las Vegas? The city that never sleeps.
That is not the expression.
Well, it should be.
That's actually not Las Vegas.
That is New York.
New York. Back to the East Coast.
The point is that Trump wants to go through and just take a look at this stuff and say, is this reasonable? Is this not? There's like places where you walk into some of these museums and the first thing you'll see is a pride flag.
Yeah.
That we don't need that. You know, how are there a reasonable portion of exhibits that talk about things like slavery in the South or the KKK? You need to have some of that.
Of course.
It's part of our history. But is it in proportion or is it way out of proportion? And that's the thing he's ordering a review of. And it makes sense because next year is 2026, which is all right, I'm going to try to say this word. It's another tough word.
There are a couple of ways you can say this.
Yeah, I know, but I want to say the tough one, and then I'll get to the easy one. Semi-quincentennial.
Say what?
Which is our 250th anniversary, or the easy way, quarter millennial.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be saying.
So which one are we going to put on a t-shirt?
Quarter millennial.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually, though, think it would be hilarious to put the first one on there and then just walk around people trying to, like, how do you say that?
Semi-quincentennial.
It's like, if you can pronounce this properly, then I'll buy you a drink.
There you go. I wasn't alive in 1976 when the bicentennial happened, but I've heard it was a giant celebration. It makes sense to have big celebrations for big milestones. And so you want the National American Museums, which is what the Smithsonian's are, to project the right image of America, which is not to say whitewash the bad stuff, but you want to highlight the good stuff too. And make sure people walk away, especially Americans, walk into their museum and out of their museum with their heads held high.
Well, and to the point of the diverse nation that was built. Why is it diverse? Because people came here because they saw how great a nation that this was that had been established and what its value system was, and they were attracted to it. We are the shining city on a hill. We attract people. We are the nation that defines freedom throughout the world.
Yeah.
And so when this whole, over the last, I feel like 15 years or so, almost 2 decades, where it's just been like, oh, America is terrible because of racism and slavery and it's this white culture that's supremacist, all this nonsense that's being just spewed all over the place. All that is doing is trying to denigrate this country. All of us who went to school learned about slavery, learned about our past warts. That's not the full picture, though.
Right.
And this notion that all we're going to dwell on is this, and we can only look at our history through this very negative lens, which is going to give you a very negative view of the country in its entirety, and specifically, ironically, of a specific majority class of people within the country because of the skin color. That's terrible, and that's destructive. And I think Trump is right to say, okay, we're going to get rid of this revisionist woke garbage that's being promoted as if that's actual history. Yeah. It's not. It's an ideology that's designed to destroy, not build, uplift, and as they're saying, the whole point of this was to diffuse knowledge. That's what it existed for. It's to inform the people of the truth, not to inform the people of some agenda.
Frankly, if there was going to be an agenda, I would want it to be an agenda of rah, America good, not rah, America bad. If that's my options, I'm an American. I want America not to be destroyed, frankly.
But hopefully it's going to ideally disseminate just
the truth. Yeah, that's what we should have. I want to circle back to the white culture pamphlet you have there, because
white culture.
It's the whole tenor of that pamphlet is basically saying, if you dig down into it, assimilation is bad.
Yeah.
Because what it's saying is everyone has some aspect of whiteness, and what they mean are American values. Because on the paper, it talks about Christianity is the norm, plan for the future, delayed gratification, father, mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. Wife is a homemaker. Children should have their own rooms, be independent. These are just aspects of that's Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're saying these are bad things that we need to like other and hold at arm's length and keep away from ourselves and not integrate into. And it's like, I thought the whole point was America was a melting pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sterling. It's anti-integration and it's anti-multiculturalism.
Yeah,
Well,
ironically.
Yeah. Well, but it's not multiculturalism. It's
Multicultures.
multi-ethnicity is what multicultures, multi-ethnicity is what
Yeah.
we should have. We should have anyone can become an American.
Right.
But you got to
That's a good
become an American.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the American culture. It shouldn't be called white culture. It should be called the American culture.
Yeah.
What is American culture defined by? In general terms, because America is a big country with 50 states, and each state has its own kind of little culture, and within that state, there's their own little microcultures, I guess you could call them. But what is our general American culture? That's what we gravitate around. That's what we should be supportive of. That's what we should recognizing as true of everyone. This does nothing to that. What this does is divides, and it's dividing in the worst way based on what somebody's skin color is. That's the worst way to divide people.
Yep.
It's a complete repudiation of everything America has been trying to do, and quite successfully, which is say, American culture, it's the contributions of the white people and the contributions of black people and everybody, anyone who wants to be an American has contributed. And so that's why Albert Einstein is considered an American now, because he decided to become an American and he became one.
Yeah.
And so we get to claim one of the smartest men who's ever lived, because our culture was one that said, come from wherever you are and become one of us and fight for us and we'll accept you.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be.
It heralds the kind of thing that made America great, too, for all these people who immigrated here, which is meritocracy. You have a chance. You might start at the lowest point, but guess what? In this country, you can advance through hard work, through your talents, through good decision-making. You could actually advance yourself to the upper tier. And it's happened. Doesn't happen to everybody. Doesn't happen to the majority, maybe, but it certainly is possible, almost exclusively compared to all the rest of the countries.
Yeah.
That's huge for people.
And that's one of the things that is being fought for, especially at the moment, is the ability for that to happen. It's the ability
to continue
to advance based on your hard work. And Marxism and socialism stops that in its tracks. You don't get to advance. What Marxism's ultimate goal is making everyone so ground under the boot of the state that everyone's equal ground under the boot of the state. It's like, great, we're all at ground level, equal at ground level. That's fantastic. That's really what we want.
It shares the misery.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 cheers for the review of the Smithsonian, I say.
Hip, hip.
I hope the result is, in fact, the truth. That's what we need. That's what we want the Smithsonian to be promulgating.
Yes.
Yeah, and just the fact that this is being made, the light's been shined on them, I think is a good thing. It needs to happen. I mean, it happened earlier because of this, but even more broadly with Trump saying, okay, we're going to really dig into this, review it, correct the stuff that needs correcting.
Yeah.
That's what we should expect from a good government.
Well, that was our episode on the Smithsonian. We are the Pop Culture Contrarians. We are brought to you by the Patriot Post, which is the oldest conservative news digest on the web. It's right and it's free. Go subscribe to that. And subscribe to the Pop Culture Contrarian. Hit the bell on YouTube. Go check us out on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment. Tell us what we should talk about next. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.